That's a minute early, 3:59 on June 9th. Kay, do we have confirmation of quorum?
Confirmed.
Thank you. Are there any, moving over to the consent of prior meeting minutes? Are there any corrections? Okay. Any new business that we need to address?
We don't have any new oral business to address. The only one is the ASM update today.
I'll turn it over.
Staffing update. So we've promoted Josh to our new director of food and beverage. You probably run into him in the venue. He was previously our premium manager. So you always saw him suites, clubs, really, really detailed guy. Previously, prior to joining us a year and a half ago, was at the convention center previously as GM on the food and beverage side. So tons of experience in a high volume environment, really, really detailed. So excited to have him join us full-time director of food and beverage role now. So this summer freight games, I think we're 5 of 8 home games in. Sales are continuing to be okay. Not likely to make the playoffs at this point, but we're over halfway in on those. Looking forward to the next month or two. Rick Springfield here next week. We've got 2 Leanne Morgan shows end of July that'll be sold out. So huge night there. Critical Role still coming in August. That one's been on sale for a long time and was the one that sold out right away. Fuel schedule is now public, so that's out there. Good draw, a lot of weekends, obviously really heavy November and March. And then the freight and Ignite schedules, working with both teams on those now. Those don't come out until likely October, I would guess. And then hosted first graduations over the course of the last month. So we had Cathedral, Fishers, and HSC. I think overall really well. Heard good things from the school and from the community. You guys heard anything? Love the feedback there, but it's excited to.
Were they filled for graduations?
Fishers and HSC limit, I think it was 6 tickets per graduate. There were still seats. I think they distributed the bulk of everything they could. Not everybody showed up.
How did the parking go?
I didn't hear anything negative on it. We got people in on time because the schools actually bused the graduates in. And they were 7 o'clock starts. I think they were pulling in at 6:50 and there was no line. Like the buses went straight to the back. Now, doors to start time were 90 minutes and in a general admission environment, people get there early. So we had people lining up and got attendees in quick and did pull up graduates.
I think the egress was relatively easy for the graduations because people would meet outside and take tons of family pictures. So it wasn't this mass exodus you had for a hockey game or for an Ignite game. So
Yeah.
the feedback, at least I've received anecdotally, it's great experience, really cool to graduate in your own hometown. And then obviously the plaza, a lot of area out there to take pictures and kind of hang out as a family. So that went well.
Did you get anything?
No, so I didn't, I was out of town. My wife originally thought that she was going to be working as a teacher, but I didn't make it there, but we'll make sure we get feedback, but I just, great effort. If that's the case, we'll continue to listen more, but I think there's like, the graduations have always seemed or maybe slightly duty bound to do it just because they had been leaving town to go do their graduation. It was terrible, but I think also just a great opportunity to get members of the community into that venue and hopefully make solid customers out of them. So awesome. Yeah.
Great. So Tony will give us a financial update. So this will cover first 4 months of the year.
Good or a little bit bigger.
So this is just a high level summary. As Mitch said, this is income statement for months through April 30th. At the very top, you see a high level snapshot of attendance and event count, actual versus forecast. So actually had 67 events through April 30th. Forecast 51. Going down to the next line, so you can see total event revenue. So that would be all ancillary sources. That would be F&B, parking, ticket service charges, all lumped into that line. Event less our event expenses. So these would be anything that are directly pertaining to an expense or to an event. So think of cleaning, security, F&B personnel, anything that goes directly into holding an event. So you see our net event income is right in line with the budget. Going down to the next line, non-event income. That line item, again, you can see pretty close to being on budget. That line item includes premium seating, so suites, tenant license fees, so any monthly rent that tenants are paying. Clubs, clubs, and then any building sponsorships would also be in that line. So anything that is not directly tied to an event. So again, you can see as we get down on the bottom, you can see generally we are right in line with budget for the first 4 months. Operating expenses, you can see we're a little bit over there. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. I just kind of wanted to go down the line right here. Interest income. So that is any interest that we're either earning on our operating account or primarily from ticketing. So when those shows go on sale, depending on how far out in advance we go, we could be holding those funds for some shows 6 months, 3 months. So we're getting a pretty good return on holding those funds until the event actually occurs. And then down at the bottom, the last line, the contractual facility fees. So you can see based on the attendance above, that's the $3 contractual facility fee on all tickets sold for the venue. So you can see well over budget there. So that is the piece that contractually goes straight back to the city. So those are being paid back to the city on a monthly basis. So when you see that add back line, we're adding it back for the venue's purpose. It's straight pass through. It comes through to us. We're sending it out to the city, but it is income that the venue is generating. Which takes us down to the bottom line. So through April, see we're at 830,000 of net income actual versus $840,000 budgeted. Over on the right is just kind of a little snapshot of key factors that contributed to the performance for the first 4 months. So first piece, primarily, we talked about event mix. We had a lot of events the first 4 months that we were open. So you can kind of see where we were different compared to what was initially budgeted. Keep in mind, the budget was done back in April of last year before we really had a confirmed calendar. So more established actual expenses. So we've had 3 more concerts to date, 1 additional fuel game. When we put together the initial budget, there was some question as to how many games would actually be in the Ignite schedule. So we had originally anticipated 10, or actually 14 home games. See Parade right on par, and then private events, some strong bookings there, as well as other entertainment events with our Cirque run. That was 5 events in itself. And then the volleyball all-star game, and then a couple of field playoff games that were budgeted. So facility fees, again, that's just the straight $3 on all ticketed events, straight to the venue. So you can see up You can't use the attendance exactly as the baseline because their attendance will be a little bit different from tickets sold. But again, attendance is exceeding where we were expected to be at based on the event count as well as just our events doing well. Ancillary revenue, again, our event count, also our per caps per event are exceeding budget. So member sales are doing very well on all types of events. You know, and we're over, depending on the type of tenant that we're either anywhere from $5 to $8 exceeding budget on what we initially had on per caps. Same with parking, along with ticket service charges. Most of our service charges are based on ticket price, and most of our ticket prices have exceeded those in the initial budget as well. And then the last piece, event costs. So it's, you know, not knowing how the actual venue is going to turn out operation wise, our event costs are running a little bit higher than anticipated, just due to venue layout, food and beverage layout. So our security costs of running event are a little bit above what we had budgeted, along with lease costs, and then just the kind of layout of our beverage with premium versus concession. Our labor expenses are running a little bit higher on that. We are working with Josh to identify where we can save on that for the forward, sure that we're sufficiently space on different attendance that we're anticipating. So that's a high level, quick walkthrough. You questions that you may have.
So on the event cost, is a little bit higher than anticipated. Is that something that will adapt to, or is it just because it was first 4 months? Now we kind of see it, we're gonna make some adjustments and then bring that back in line where we thought it should be, or this is just now we kind of have a better idea, and so this is kind of where it is. We'll just have to adjust everything off of that.
So I think it's a mix of both. Like if you looked security position by position, like some of the spots, like you just need more bodies there than what we thought initially putting it to bid. A lot of the other ones are correctable. So if we went and looked at what it costs to staff a tenant event in December of last year and January of this year compared to what we're doing now in like April, that we're in a groove, like you've seen that like start to slide and come down. So a lot of it, like he mentioned, event labor for specific like tenant events and even concerts. And then the other piece of it is like food and beverage, cost of goods sold, and the labor to run the concession stand. So now we've gotten better on like, if we're gonna have an event with 3,000 people, do you need to open every concession stand? Or certain ones like, okay, we don't need the 8 bodies in there, like let's watch the numbers and scale back down to 4. So we've started to do that. Some of the ones like you indicate that you're just kind of stuck with cost of goods sold, like how much does it cost? Chicken tenders, bottled soda, all of that. It's the building is set up for bottled drinks. They've got a higher cost than fountain soda. So some of those like you're stuck with, that's okay. They're faster too to distribute, so you gain some upside in it.
I have a question. This, I mean, it's important to understand how the facility itself is doing, how you're, and I don't doubt that there are probably things you're learning operationally that hopefully you'll get better at, but do you have, are you tracking, the financials for what we as a city are benefiting from? So we're getting what, the $3 from tickets, we're getting parking, we're getting some percentage, I forget, food and other.
Yeah.
So that we can understand how that then compares to what, you know, was projected, and then is that something you guys have now?
Right, so at the end of the day, right, we've, we've committed, we need about $1 million to be able to help pay down the debt service payment out of operations from this, right? Yeah.
And we've got number of buckets and how are we doing?
Exactly, yeah. So of that, so your guys trending towards $1 million in year one of operations, you guys feel is on target?
Yeah, so bottom line now, 829. Yeah. So we're well on our way, based on the budget year, like the busy season, January to April, like steady climb, bringing in a lot of revenue, and then you slide a little bit in the summer when it's slower, and then we're building back up October, November, December, so.
So everything we're receiving is in the contractual facility fees.
Yeah,
Is that right?
That is the contractual, which goes back to the city, that's like $3.
So that's all inclusive.
Yes.
Or that's not just the $3 fee, that's parking, that's, yeah, 829, it's like building profitability.
So through 4 months, you're just shy of what the annual projection is that right?
Yeah, and originally when I first saw this too, I was like, man, we're crushing it. But I think to Mitch's point, right, like this is not a straight line. We're
Right,
gonna have some very
right.
slow months,
get it.
right? So, again, I think, you know, based on you guys, you feel comfortable where we're at in April of this, right? But we'll see some pretty rough months in summertime as expected, as you guys pro forma.
Yep.
And we should October, November, December close out at that $1 million marker.
It would just be nice. I mean, you could do like just a tab to it or something that break down the actuals that you're receiving for each of the revenue buckets, you know?
Yeah, we're some things. Busy season is probably now,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And the $3 million expense variance. The labor and the food and beverage, cost of goods sold labor can those be altered or you're gonna just have to deal with that?
Years ago. Yeah, I mean, we're working on, again, so April was a very heavy month on overtime, so we've got some thoughts going into the future on broadening our supervisor pool so that we can fill hours, but not add as much overtime, so making that supervisor bigger. So that's one thing that's on the plate. We're looking at a lot of the labor that we use in the concession stands is with nonprofit groups. So we're looking at when those contracts come up on their end, negotiating some of those rates. So we've got some things in the cards that will help shave into that. We don't know that we'll get down to what was in the initial forecast, but we're identifying the places where we can shave down those numbers.
More I said, I think it's exciting for these guys now that we're still relatively in our infancy of this thing, right? So now it's like, spend the summer driving efficiencies. Where can we find those waste moments to tighten up? And one that I'll call it that I'm interested in, I think it's probably captured in operating expense line item, is utility costs, right? So we ran higher than we expected month over month. So now the ice plant is down, right? Really figuring out like, hey, what did we do wrong there? And can we drive down our utility costs? Will we have the opportunity to do so this summer?
Yeah, that's the big thing he's talking about. Utilities is a big one. Staffing expenses, and we've challenged our food and beverage staff to like $6 million in event revenue. Food and beverage is a massive component of that. The beauty of like doing that much volume, if they can go out and find, which they should be able to, 1%, 2%, like it.
Here or there.
Yeah, it adds up.
Even just probably better forecasting, like eliminating food waste is probably a huge part of that. So when it comes to the different event types, I know you can't give us every look that we're going to want at every single meeting, but I'm curious, you don't even have to really comment on it right now, but are there certain events that have better sort of revenue to expense ratios than others? I mean, I know things like graduation probably are not a very good revenue to expense ratio, but curious about some of the other events and what seem to be the bigger winners and losers. But you don't have to necessarily comment on that overall, but I think we might like to see that in the future to know where to shift sort of efforts towards.
So if we talk bottom line revenue, touring shows are the highest grossing for the Vancouver city. The sporting events do well, like Fuel obviously do well. So much of those are tied to attendance where the city makes money on.
Nights, but not weekdays.
Yeah. So excited for Ignite next year, where I think I brought up last meeting. It was 3 Fridays and Saturdays. They got home games out of 14. So expanding that next year, like I expect them to take a jump and ensure revenue for the city to take a jump there too. Private events have been somewhat surprising. We do some small ones that are just in the club or North Club, and they're fine from a revenue perspective. We've done some that are full plated dinners, like covering the whole floor, and they've generated really good revenue for the city.
You know, as the banker, you know, I've never seen a performer that doesn't work from a customer. So on the front, yeah, always work. So for it to be 1% below budget overall is, you know, something to, you know, hang your hat on. You know, so you're definitely working harder to get there.
Yeah.
The number of events that you're having to pull off to get it, but you're working. So, I mean, and again, you're 1% below budget, so I think that is to be applauded. Obviously, now you know where you need to tighten some things up. But overall, you're to be 1% below is pretty strong.
I wanted to also ask maybe just to piggyback the thought about trying to get a breakout of what the income is to the city in those particular line items, but also probably see a balance sheet from both you guys, I mean, overall, and then as the city is, because I'm thinking of if we're whatever, 4 months through and we're pretty close. I mean, what happened? The question is, you know, as we build more,
Right.
where are the monies going? Are they held? I think we should have a reserve, you know, established. So this start to be balance sheet.
Thing like a bank, man.
Yeah, it's like it's been on city council before or something. So yeah, we could bring back our econ dev fund up the fiscal
Yeah.
plan and talk to that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
And I also owe you guys, I think next time we should be closed out on the actual bond on all expenditures. So econ fund's been literally last couple, you know, line items to check off. So we should be closed out next time we sit down with you guys. So I can bring that together.
Okay.
Good news, I mean, no surprise here, like we have contingency remaining. So we didn't bust the bond budget there. So we're good there. So, yeah, but I'll bring the detail back to you guys.
This all factors into, I don't know what the calendar is, but if we're assuming it's year end, to be able to Larry and others tell a good story to the community about how successful, even in year one, the event is. Just the number of events alone is really impressive.
When will you start to budget for next year too? Okay.
Which will be nice that you will have at least some of the calendar.
Yep.
For.
Sure.
Of the first front half of the year, to be able to slow it down.
When would you expect to present a budget to us? If you're working on it, is that a September timeframe?
I think we sent to the city, we're up by August 1.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And, you know, again, great news is going forward. Last year we had to cash flow these guys, right? So
Yeah.
now they're
Yeah.
sufficient royalty fee. But yes, I think August 1st is so the August calendar for the
Okay.
next quarter.
Any other questions?
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Great work.
Anything else from your side?
Yeah, overall, like, bottom line, that's, yeah, my buckets less. Yeah.
All right. Any other new business?
That's all we got.
What about those buildings going out in front of them?
Yes, you can.
Now you can ask that question.
I figured that's a big principal pay down bond.